Hello, welcome everybody to the Ordinary Council meeting of the Thursday, 18th of September 2025. Sorry for a little bit late, we just had a bit of a technical difficulty which we've been dealing with. Welcome councillors. According with the Weddin Shire Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this meeting will be recorded for the purposes of audio-visual live streaming via Council's website and our YouTube channel. Those in attendance are asked to refrain from making any defamatory statements and comply with all relevant Weddin Shire codes, policies, procedures at all times. Weddin Shire Council would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. Weddin Shire Council would also like to pay our respects to the elders both past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginals Australians who are present or watching. Weddin Shire Council would like to honour our service personnel who have sacrificed their lives in defence of our freedom, our peace and our prosperity. We acknowledge all of our frontline workers, our volunteers who each day provide our essential and non-essential services, especially those within our Weddin Shire local government area. Next we move on to councillors. We have two applications for leave, is that correct? We have from Councillor Parlett and Councillor Neal. We have a mover and a seconder that we accept those leaves of absence, moved by Councillor Rolls and seconded by Councillor Montgomery. Thank you. All those in favour of the acceptance, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those against, thank you, councillor. So moved. We have no apologies, leave of absence and none. We move on to confirmation of minutes. Move on to confirmation of minutes. Do we have a mover and a seconder that the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting 21st of August 2025 be taken and confirmed? Moved by Councillor Macon, seconded by Councillor Rolls. Thank you. Any questions regarding those minutes, councillors? No questions, no comments? No. I'll put that one to the vote. All those in favour of accepting those minutes as read? Thank you. All those against? Thank you, councillors. And next, I'll ask our acting General Manager, Mr. Luke Sheen, just to present the disclosures of interest for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there's one declaration from Mayor Best relating to item number 13.2. Owner of the development site, pecuniary yes, significant yes, and leaving the room yes.
Thank you. We move on to public forum. There's no public forum. And mayoral reports and minutes. I don't have that one up on my screen actually. Neil? Oh, didn't come in as a late report. Gone up on the. Didn't come up as a late report. Sorry? All right, okay. Still having... Did any councillors have the late report?
No, we haven't, and it wasn't there when we were reading it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is on the LG Hub.
Oh, it's on the LG Hub, right.
Yep.
My apologies. First of all, we need a move and accept to accept the late report. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Macon, seconded by Councillor Montgomery. All those in favour? Aye. All those against? Thank you, councillors. Pretty straightforward. It was just a couple of letters we received from the Office of Local Government and regarding our federal assistance grants. It just sets out our schedules for the federal assistance grants, noting that we received our early advance payment this year, and it also sets out when we were receiving the other payments during the other one during the rest of the year, I think. So total up, we received about 4.1 million. Yeah, so 4.1 in our federal assistance grants for the year. That's also pretty straightforward, I think. They, something we can't live without. And we, once again, we're working towards them increasing that would be really important for our community. So any questions or comments regarding those late reports, councillors? No? Take it as read. So all those in favour of accepting that report? Aye. Thank you. All those against? Thank you, councillors. Forward. Next. Right, we move on to the notices of motion, 9. First up, we have a notice of motion from Councillor Gorman to investigate the purchase of 2 bench tables with bench seating for the main street in addition to a bench seat to be placed outside of the IGA. We have a mover and a seconder to that one, moved by Councillor Rolls and seconded by Councillor White. Thank you. Councillors, do you feel like you move into committee of the whole for this to have a discussion, or you want to go ahead as it is? Moved by Councillor Rolls. Yep, second by Councillor Gorman. All those in favour of moving to committee of the whole?
Aye.
Thank you, councillors. All those against? So we will move into committee of the whole. Councillor Gorman, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, and we've all read the information and the research done by the General Manager and his team in terms of the actual cost. It's pretty thorough, Luke. In fact, much more so than I was expecting. And I have to be honest, I'm a bit shocked at the cost. And I just, at this stage, I know we've planned our budget and everything's sorted. Ultimately, the 8,500 for 2 tables with bench seats is a bit more than I was expecting. The bench seat will be supplied in kit form. However, it's still a lot of money, and as well as the fact because the ground is sloping, we do need concrete slabs so that it's mounted level and to make it safer and everything like that. So I realise and I do accept the fact that ultimately we're going to have to apply for a grant for that, and I'm not sure whether the actual fencing or the protection bollards are something which the councillors will decide we have to have as well, because that significantly ups the price. My thinking in terms of the whole thing is that at this stage I would like to, I'm happy to hear from the others, but ultimately I plan to move a motion that we immediately start seeking funding for the purpose of providing these tables and the bench seats, etc. But I would also like to, as a second part of that, that we use available funds to purchase another chair or another seat, I should say, for outside IGA, because that was a big priority for a lot of the aged citizens in this town, and the seat that's already there is a little bit wonky. If you have a look at it, it's caving down on one side. I'm not saying replace it too. Everybody still sits on it quite happily. However, I think if we could have that second seat outside IGA without the concrete slab, you won't need one of them because you've got the concrete, footpath, etc. I think that should be a priority. But I'll move that as a motion after the others have given me their opinions.
Councillor? We have some discussion on this one, that's why I
I might win.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously quite an expense. That's probably, and I'm probably thinking, it is hard to go. We really shouldn't be making these sort of decisions, I suppose, outside of the budget process. Makes it very hard for the staff to sort of just pull, $8,000 or $9,000 out of our hat. I think it's. I understand the engineering staff are trying to protect council's interests by putting all the bollards up, and I think that's something that maybe with a bit more research we could come up with a slightly cheaper solution. Maybe by putting the, further away from the actual, further away. As far as tables go, I think, there's still an opportunity for, if any of the businesses want to put a table out there, they can apply for a Section 68 approval. They can approval and they can put and provide their insurance details and stuff like that. I mean, it's not a big expense for them to get that approval and put tables out there. So, I think seating, but I am aware, I think, we're talking probably $10,000 to come make a $10,000 decision outside of the budgetary process is fairly hard. So
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, I think if you go to towns that have similar around pedestrian crossing stuff, they all have that fencing. They have those bollards to stop the 1 in a million chance that it might happen, because that 1 in a million chance that it might happen would, council doesn't.
Yeah, Young's a good example. I know down near the bottom of the street down there, we had a good look at that.
Yeah.
There's the little bollards in amongst the hedge.
Yeah.
They're fairly hidden away in amongst the plantings.
Yeah.
But there's still protection of anyone there. So.
I think it's a wonderful idea, just a refigurement of how we're going to do it.
Mm. Nothing, councillors? I suppose it comes back, if you're going to move a motion like that, where would you find the funding, I suppose, the funding for it?
So just for clarity, so if we're putting the seat outside the IGA, is it that one city-style bench seat that's in that price? The 172,950, or is it completely different to that?
No, the seating would be similar to the one that's there.
So we don't have a price.
And I don't know that there is a
Not per se, through you, Mr. Mayor.
photo as such of what they have investigated.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, my understanding is that the pricing that's been included in the report is for seating, which is similar to what we've installed in Taylor Park, just to try and have that consistency through there.
Yep.
So there may be different pricing if it was a seat to match the same seats that we've got sort of scattered along the main street. I imagine that's probably not going to be too different in terms of
They're very. I've seen them. Like we've looked at them. They're very similar to what we've got already.
Yeah.
It's just that commercial quality of them that we need, where it's probably different than a
So
private.
through you, Mr. Mayor, does that mean that the seat that's there already will be different to the new one that we're intending to put there outside IGA?
They're very similar, but potentially yes. Yeah.
So we're obviously better off to replace both at the same time, just to aesthetic.
I would think
And
that would be
safety?
the way to go, especially
I mean-
Or separate them a bit.
There's a number of
said that
seats throughout the main
it's
street, so I'm not sure how
Cool.
many, but yeah, there's a number of
Yeah.
seats
Similar style, yeah.
in the main street. So I mean, I suppose that's a decision for councillors. Is if
we
it's
replace
just
one,
those
replace
two, or how far do you go with trying to get them all to be consistent?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Corman has indicated that the one that's there is in poor condition. So does it need to be replaced anyway?
It might be able to be repaired, I don't know. But it is sagging down on one side.
Have to have a closer look at that.
Yeah, it's something we'd have to get the engineer department to get a closer look. Yeah.
Well, there is a price in the table under street furniture,
Yeah.
and that's on page 10.
Yeah.
And it says one city-style bench seat, approximately $1,700. So I'm more likely to get an extra bench seat if we only buy one, and we can.
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, probably getting some more solid, like pardon concrete pricing, so we actually know that okay, if we're going to replace both, because city style bench seat doesn't sound like the wooden looking one in the main street, so probably doing a tiny little bit more around that before we make a decision on the motion.
Well, no, I would like to move a motion that we purchase one more seat of whichever design account. I haven't seen the pictures of what the staff may have been looking at or what this looks like, but they certainly wouldn't have recommended it if they didn't think that it was going to more than fit the task, and they're also very focused on things blending in, so I can't see that it would be too far different to what's there. So I would like to just move a motion that we do purchase the city-style bench seat stated in this costing, one at this stage, and it doesn't have to be side by side, you can move it a little bit away, but they basically want it so that when they're maybe waiting for the taxi or having a chat with people they've met in the street, they can just sit there and wait to be either picked up or get in their taxi, etc. So I don't think we can move the location too much.
Once again, Councillor, the only thing I'm saying is if we're going to move a motion that we expend funds, we have to have where it's going to come from, and that's what...
How much is that's
an exact figure
estimate of...
Yeah, of where it's going to come from. That's part of the motion process. Whereas the initial motion was only to investigate, now we're changing it to actually purchase.
Yeah.
And that becomes a different thing. So, we're actually expending funds outside of the budget process, which makes it a little bit awkward. I would be more inclined to say if we could include the purchase of a suitable seating for that area in the next budget. That'd probably be a better way of putting it, and so that we can actually allocate those funds through that budget process and have them there to then purchase the right thing. Councillor McGuinn?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the $1,729.50 is only for the kit form. We've still got labour and installation to go in there. So you're going to be looking at over 2,000, because I don't think people work for so it's not, that's the other thing to take into consideration. It's not just that cost, there's the additional cost of actually installing and putting it together. And then, of course, they've got to fix the other one. Because you wouldn't be putting that in there without that being
next to one.
fixed. So that's all. Anyway.
In relation to the bollards, they obviously are going to go in front of veranda posts as well, or purely just to protect this furniture and the crossing of that?
The idea was just to protect that area, not in front of the veranda post as such.
If the seating and stuff was going to be out further towards the road, the engineers departments are very concerned that therefore people will be, if someone backed up, or as they're going, or across a crossing, or drove into, would hit somebody, and they're sitting on a chair, especially if you had a fixed table in front of you with you sitting there, and you could get crushed between.
But also on the flip side of that too, if me and my daughter and my wife having lunch at Ned's and Hallie gets up and runs, at least there's some sort of protection of the fence as well.
You need, I was going to say, you have to have the fence at least.
So that was the idea when we had a look at it, to say, well, look, there is a small garden bed on the southern side of the main street. So it does provide some protection from, say, children running out onto the road, but that doesn't prevent like a vehicle sort of impact from a vehicle. So the fencing was one option, but it's only if, I suppose, from council's risk appetite as to, we just want to prevent children from running out onto the road. Well, the fence idea does that. If you want to go the step further and actually protect that area from vehicles, then you've got to go to something like the bollards.
Can I speak?
Yes, Christian.
Do I have to go through the meeting? Anyway, my concern with the bollards is, I know from my very active children, they would see those as a plaything. They would all want to climb over them and run around them and stuff. So the bollards actually, to me, are a concern for the safety of children, because even with the fence there, they would go around the fence and climb on the bollards, because that would just be the fun thing to do.
So through you, Mr. There's a range of issues too to think about. Is, well, if you go and put a fence up, does that block sight lines to the pedestrian crossing? How we the finer details of how you actually install it. Obviously, you've got a car parking area right next to it, so they want to sort of look to see what's coming, and it's right at an intersection of the pedestrian crossing.
Will there be certain standards within a main street design that we'd have to meet as well, part of this?
So in the report, we did consult with sort of Transport for New South Wales, so there was no specific setback distance for them. However, they did raise the points to say, well, you need to be mindful if you've got a table and chairs and people are standing there talking to someone seated, does that create confusion from a driver's point of view? Are they approaching the pedestrian crossing or are they not? So it probably depends a little bit how far away you can get from the pedestrian crossing. The further away, the better, but obviously we're limited by space.
But on the point of the bench seat out front of the IGA, I think we just need a little bit more. Yeah, we're jumping a few steps in terms of purchasing.
Yeah. Very good. Any more questions then? All right, we can move out. Councillor just said we can vote on this one and then we'll vote to change it, whatever you'd like to do after we move out of closed committee of the whole.
So I would take it that we're still keeping our eye out for funding and grants if they come available. but at the same time, it'll be added to the list for next year's budget.
Well, that was what I would suggest, that we change it to say that the replacement or an additional seat be included in next year's budget.
There's nothing stopping us having a revote on the quarterly.
Unless,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, have to find the money first.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So not waiting till all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And probably moving forward, councillors, obviously that'll be something early next year. We'll be sort of getting into the budget for the next financial year, so we'll be probably trying to have some workshops to get your ideas to put forward as to what you would like to see. So that's where some of these things can be raised to say, well, like, this is an important issue that we want to try and get this done, and then we can start. We've already done a lot of the legwork in terms of the costing that we can sort of allocate in that budget.
very good. All right, we're moving, so I think we've had a good discussion on that then. We'll move, to have a move in a second, we move out of committee of the whole back into open council. Yes, Councillor Macon and Councillor White, thank you. All those in favour of moving out of committee of the whole? Thank you. All those against? Thank you, councillors. Righto, so now we can move back into the motions. We have a motion there that has been moved and seconded. Was moved and seconded? Yep, moved and seconded. Any discussions on the motion that we investigate the purchase 2 bench tables and bench seats on the main street? Is it an additional bench seat to be placed outside the IGA, councillors? No?
Well, the investigation has been very thoroughly completed.
Yep.
So thank you, Luke, and your staff. And we're all aware of how funds need to be present and accountable. So maybe we'll just have to apply for some grants and hopefully have it as soon as possible, but foreseeably it'll be next year's budget.
So would you like to leave the motion as it stands and be voted upon, or would you like to amend the motion, councillor? To be...
Well, the investigation's been done.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So you've got an additional bench seat to be placed outside the IJ.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably, would be best to then change that to considered in the next budgetary round.
Yeah.
Yep.
How would you choose to word that then?
I think that's all you need to be considered in the next next budget. With that, Catherine, that's yeah. Yep, of an additional bench seat outside the IJ. Yeah, next. We call it next budget. Yeah, next budget process. Yeah. You happy with that, Councillor Gorman?
Yes, that'll do.
Yes, sorry, Councillor
But
Gorman.
don't you want to add about the
We still want the table and chairs.
yeah, so we still need to ask them to
And
look for
the-
grants.
The purchase of
Oh, yeah,
the
okay.
2 tables and bench seats for the main street be added to next year's budget.
Well, not to next year's budget, to looking for grants,
Oh,
because we're never
okay.
going to be able to
Yes,
pay for that out of
Yeah.
the budget. Sorry.
and that we continue to seek grants for the
Yeah, for the
purchase of...
installation of extra tables. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Very good. You happy with that, Councillor Gorman?
thank you.
sorry.
So we have a mover and a seconder for that, which was
No, we don't have that.
Rolls and
Councillor Rolls and Councillor White. Do you accept those amendments to that motion? As a mover and seconder? Yeah, that now becomes a motion. I'll put that one to the vote, if that's okay, if they're called up. Yeah. All those in favour of the motion that Council considers the purchase of additional bench seats outside the IJ in the next budget process, and that Council continues to set grants for the purchase of 2 bench seats outside the main street area. All those in favour, councillors?
Aye.
Thank you. All those against? Thank you. So moved. Good. we move on to another notice of motion. We have another motion by 9.2 by Councillor Macon that Council requests staff prepare a report into the feasibility design options and cost of constructing a bicycle path along Henry Lawson Way and Lawson Drive in the Lawson Estate Precinct. 2, include comparative costings for gravel versus sealed surfaces and identify potential external funding sources for the state and federal active transport grants to minimise council budget. I think we've already been completed. They've got a good report there. Yeah, we're moving a second for that one. Yeah, moved by Councillor Macon, or not? Yes?
Yeah, sorry.
I thought you'd move your own.
No, I'll move my own motion, sorry.
Moved by Councillor
I was
Macon.
reading,
Seconded by
sorry.
Councillor White, thank you. All those in favour? Oh no, not those in favour. I'll open up for discussion then. Councillor Macon, you want to speak to your motion?
I raised this note of motion. I've been approached by several families and residents in the Lawson Estate area that a lot of their children and family members use this area for exercise, riding bikes, walking to school, riding to school, all that sort of physical activity. After reading the report and the awesome homework that the staff did, it's good to see that it was in the active lifestyle plan for Grenfell to be included. The other reason to bring this to Council's attention is that there is continually new infrastructure and housing and families moving into that area as well. Obviously we have the junior league, junior soccer, junior cricket down there in the town as well, and also a lot of children walking to the high school as well from that area as well. So it is purely just for an investigation and costing report, not asking for any money at this stage. There is grants, New South Wales infrastructure for active grants going at the moment. I'm not sure about dates of when they open and close and stuff, because I'm actually looking at some for other projects as well. But it's more so just to improve accessibility, safety for children, because it's on a main road, main highway, a lot of truck. There's not a lot of room on the road to actually ride the bike. They're often riding on the grass up to that paved area in front of the railway line there. And it's purely just out of a community request to actually look at this further to see if it's permissible, if it is possible with grants. So it's just more for investigative purposes to bring this back to the table, because I think the active plan was 2018. Yeah, so now we're in almost 2026. So just raising it again, because if we've had awesome new infrastructure at the rugby league field and new stadium there. We want this area to be utilised as well. So, and making accessibility to back into town for residents of that area that can use it for walking, cycling, all that sort of jazz there.
Yes. Councillor Gorman, yes?
To just reinforce it, when we had the meetings with the community for the community strategic plan, that was one of the big requests from a lot of the younger parents, and they were requesting that we consider extending a pathway for children to ride bikes, but also someone to be pushing a pram and still have a little kid riding a bike beside them, to go up as far as the cemetery. So Wes has broken it down into a smaller stage, which is probably more foreseeable in the future. But ultimately, their hope is that it will extend all the way up to the cemetery.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just another point as also that was raised, which I didn't raise in the notice of motion, but actually in front of the Lawson Oval there, where the entry is, there's a lot of foot traffic there actually getting to the ground, and there's no pedestrian crossing either. So just, and if you look at other parts of towns, if you look along the highway going out to Forbes, it's actually a really good buffer either side of the road to actually walk and ride bikes and stuff like that. I can't remember Cowraway off the top of my head, but this this part here, you see, is really, you've got trees, then road, and then the other side is not very much either. So it's more so just making that a little bit more accessible for those residents there that want to engage in that active lifestyle. If it is just simply walking into town, if there is an elderly resident that wants to ride their gopher in town, they're actually able to do it off the road, not or getting bogged in grass and gopher.
Very good. Councillor White, yes?
I just want to commend Councillor Macon for his work and bringing this attention to council and listening to the community and putting it forward. As Councillor Gorman stated, it was part of our strategic planning, the beautification and that, and I feel that I really want to support this, see this go ahead, because it is a very dangerous area there, and I'm glad Councillor Macon also brought up the fact about the crossing there near the entrance of the oval as well. I really would love to see this go ahead, and I really support this 100%.
Oh, I think looking at the plan, the active plan, that the first thing they, as priority one, was to extend the Weddin Street 1 down to that area. So I think following that plan is probably a great idea. It's a great first step. If we follow that plan, get that fixed up to join the footpath now all the way down past the crossing and get that done for a start.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think the top 4 were basically crossings and stuff around schools and concreting around that. And I think the report said this was number 6, I think.
Further up, but I think the Weddin Street, the extension of the Weddin Street was fairly high in priority.
Yeah.
It's one, I think. It was the next one. South Street was done. It's already been completed.
Yeah.
And I think the next one would have been the Weddin Street, the extension of the Weddin Street 1.
I'm not doubting it's on the priority.
Yes, yeah.
It's just more so just being, because obviously, probably since 2018, there's been a lot of infrastructure built since then, with families moving in down there, so the population down that end of town has probably, and obviously the costing when it was done in the report. The report, I think it said $8,000 for one part, and that's obviously blown out.
Yes.
Basically, it says here that it says that it would be 535 metres long here in the homework, and over almost $350,000 at a minimum.
Yeah.
So obviously, council can't fund that, but just as an investigative and research purposes, that I think it's worth re-looking into.
Very good. Right. Is there any more comments in councillors? I think we've said we're not actually asking for a budget. We're just saying that we investigate it, which most of the investigation work's done. It's just identifying any potential funding sources, and as we said in there, as the acting director, general manager says in there, following that plan is probably the best chance of us getting that funding by following your active transport plan. So very good. So I think we had a good discussion there, councillors. I'll put that motion up to the council. Those in favour of those motion, please raise your hand.
Right.
Thank you. Anyone against? No. Thank you, councillors. Moved. Okay, next one, next page is 119. The long active transport plan.
Yeah, it's really thorough.
Yeah. And it's good to remind us that we have that plan. Definitely. Thank you. Next one, we have another notice of motion from Councillor Macon. Notice it's 9.3, notice of motion, Main Street parking design. The council refers the matter of Main Street central parking to the traffic committee, to the local traffic committee, which is now a local traffic forum, for review. Requests the committee to investigate the designation and installation of a loading zone along the centre of the Main Street Grenfell and undertake the works with minimal impact, budget impact, limited to signage purchases and installation by council staff. Have a move and a second for that one, councillors. Moved by Councillor Macon, seconded by Councillor White. Thank you very much. Councillor Macon, you used to speak to your motion.
This is another community concern that was raised to me over the last month or so. Obviously, we have a lot of trucks, delivery vehicles parking in the middle of the main street to deliver goods. Me truck delivering the IGA. other delivery services dropping off goods to different businesses around town. The main concern that's been raised is that residents within Grenfell that obviously can't find a park or want to park a little bit closer to IJ or another shop within Main Street, they're just pulling into the main centre park, parking there, obstructing view in some cases, especially near pedestrian crossing. I've personally seen people pull up right there in front of the pedestrian crossing, making it a little bit more difficult to park and pull out and see other oncoming traffic. 100% understand that if we do put a loading zone in that area, there's still going to be those cases of trucks, vans, obviously that there, but it might sort of put a sort of have a rethink of where you're parking if it's sort of more designated, because at the moment that central parking is, there's no sign saying that there's no parking, and there's no sign saying there's no stopping, and it's not a loading zone, so it's sort of like a free-for-all parking situation because it's not lined, it's not anything there. So, and I've personally seen people pull up in front of licensed venues in the main street, pull up there, park there, and they go have lunch, or they go because it's close. Because obviously accessibility for some people, if that's the easy spot to park, that's where they will park. So it's more just, I am the local traffic forum delegate, but I'm also bringing it to council to get their opinions and their, because obviously the main street discussion has been an ongoing discussion for many years. And obviously getting thoughts and feedback on that, but also showing the community that we are thinking of these extra steps to protect the main street, because a lot of work's being done. It'll be sad to see something happen or whatever because we haven't done what needed to be done. If there is some standards we need to meet, if there's something that we need to have that little bit more think of in that domain of parking in the central area.
Councillor Bowman?
For a long time now, I've had a lot of people upset about people parking in the main street, and it is still an issue, maybe not quite as much as it used to be when we first all saw and noticed and were inconvenienced by it. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know that a loading zone will do it, because the rules for loading zones basically mean you're only meant to be there for approximately 15 minutes. However, anyone with a station wagon, a ute, a small truck, those sorts of vehicles can legitimately park in a loading zone. Most of the vehicles that park in there now are tradies who go down the street for lunch. And now we're basically, and yes, they do block the parking, they do block the view of sight of oncoming traffic. It makes it harder to park in and get out and all that sort of thing safely. A loading zone, basically based on the regulations for a loading zone, is almost like giving them permission to keep doing it. I don't know what the answer is. Personally, I don't like the idea of a line painted down the middle of the street, one of those thick white ones, which means that you can't cross over. I know Cowra were considering, that type of option, but because all the big trucks on the highway have to go through the main street of Cowra, instead of a white line, they went for that cement separation right down the street. I wouldn't like to see that in Grenfell. And I don't know, and the problem with the thick white line is ultimately you're then meant to pull out and always go left. Whether you want to go left or right, you've got no say. So parked on either side of the road, you can only pull out and you have a set direction of traffic flow that you have to follow. Another problem is, yes, we're a little town. We also often find parking difficult because so many people want to go down there at the same time. But if people do park in the wrong place, and one of the reasons I think that offenders in the main street have continued to do so, is we don't really have anyone monitoring it. You know, the traffic control or the police, etc., just don't seem to, I mean, they also have lots of other areas of higher need where their services are required. But unless someone's going to maybe get a ticket for parking in the middle of the main street or a warning or something like that, in many cases it's, oh, well, it doesn't matter, we'll keep doing it. And if there's a loading zone, IGA, very little gets delivered to IGA that is not delivered by, I forget the driver, by one of the big delivery trucks, and they all enter via the back lane, via Main Street, and they load and unload the truck down the back. So very, very little, I don't know of anything that gets delivered to IGA via the Main Street. And the other businesses, well, a lot of them, the bakers, etc., they make their own products, and the butcher's not there anymore to have a butcher's truck, you know, delivering meat. I just think if we make it a loading zone, it's almost like a loophole, giving people permission to possibly take advantage even more and park there.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the issue isn't tradies and other delivery vehicles using that space. It's people that shouldn't be using that space is the issue.
Yes,
where the meat truck delivers to the front, and obviously couriers and stuff dropping goods off to different variety of shops. That's not the issue. The issue is for ongoing offenders that just pull up in front of IGA or pull up in front of the baker because they're running in to get lunch or whatever. It's also creating, I've actually seen a family pull up in the middle and kids got out of the car. So that's the other, so it's not the actual use of the loading zone isn't the issue. The issue is people that aren't supposed to be parking in the main street, middle part of the main street, I should say. It shouldn't be. Where I would hate for someone who isn't supposed to be parking there, their little kid jumps out and then gets hit by a car. Where a truck or a delivery vehicle, they're supposed to be there if it's a loading zone. And this motion is not to say, yes, we're putting in it from now. It's to take it to the traffic forum to go, what can we do if the loading zone isn't the answer? What parameters can we put in place? Because it's, yes, I agree with you that there's probably going to be people that don't care and that will keep doing it. And yes, we don't have the facilities to have a park, and I don't ever want to have a parking person walking up and down the main street to checking, because we would hope the residents do the right thing. But it's more so that this notice of motion was to bring it to the attention of council, for one, to actually look into it further deep, because we want to maintain and use our main street for the right thing, because a lot of money's been spent there. So it's not so much making a decision now of a loading zone, it's to look at, if there is, take it to the traffic committee, go from there.
I'll take that as your your right to reply. So
Sorry.
Although you're probably a bit late. Wait till the end. That's okay. Councillor Rolls.
Well, I was just going to move that we go to committee of the whole to have a better discussion on this.
Okay. Yep, you've moved that. So we have a seconder to move into committee of the whole. Councillor Gorman. All those in favour of moving into the committee of the whole to have a discussion? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes. So moved. We now moved into the committee of the whole. You've got that. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's right. We've sort of had two, so you've sort of used your things up.
And I wanted to get in, sorry, Councillor Macon, before you got in, so you still had your right to reply, but perhaps the loading zone down the centre of the street is not the answer, but if the traffic forum could explore the possibility of, there are some unutilised areas of the main street being the tab corner, which is currently a no stopping zone, could that be explored as being redesignated to a loading zone? And could we explore also the option of Teston Street? Is it Teston Street down the side, in between IJ and the Criterion? Whether we could have that.
That is a loading zone.
But extended as a longer loading zone, because
I don't think there's a time limit on it.
No, the length of the actual loading.
Oh, right,
You'll only get one vehicle or two vehicles there as such.
That would block off the entrance to the back of the Criterion Hotel park.
So could it be an option that we explore to move the loading zone onto the opposite side of that gutter? Because it is a one-way street, and you would almost triple the length that you could have in that loading zone area. You'd still have a flow of traffic. You'd maintain the entry and exit to that car park. I sort of share in Councillor Bullman's worry that we go to a designated centre zone loading zone. Anyone with an ABN and a ute is legally allowed to park there. So I'll park there to go to my bank. I'll park there to buy my lunch, because that's a designation that I'm allowed to do. I think we create a loophole then that we would say in 12 months' time, we shot ourselves in the foot here. I agree that the centre parking is a big hindrance to everyone though, but yeah.
Well,
Councillor Montgomery?
several years ago, they put the parking in Forbes Street for caravans because they used to park in the middle of the street. So, because they couldn't park anywhere else, so they just pull up in the middle. Well, they now know not to park there because that's prohibited. So how do they know that? Because they don't pull up there, they do park down. So I thought it was nobody was meant to park in the middle of the street. That's why they made those zones down in Forbes Street.
And I think you're right. And there was a bit of a publicity campaign about it through the Grenfell Record and just talking with different organisations, etc. But in terms of loading zones, I've just remembered, there's a lengthy loading zone in outside what used to be Moffat's office as you turn it going up Main Street towards the highway, which a lot of people don't park in. I know it's a bad spot and far away from the shops, but it's still classified as a loading zone. And the medical centre staff have pointed out to me that directly across the road from the medical centre there's a sign saying motorbikes only.
Yeah.
And they say they have only ever once seen a motorbike in there, and people park there, they get out of their car and they said, then they spot the sign and they look around and they get in their car and they're driving up and down looking for a park. I think that has to be a priority for the traffic committee to remove that loading sign. I don't know who has the authority. Do we say what signs go up and don't go up, or is it the traffic authority? Take away the motorbike sign, for goodness sake, and also maybe remove that loading zone. And that would ease some of the parking in the main street.
I think any changes to things like the loading zone will require public consultation, because there could be businesses that use it, which is fine, we can do that. And I think that was a direct response when the main street was getting done to the butcher shop having to access across the road. They had to park their trucks in there, and there's a few things like that, and there was other businesses that wanted a loading zone near there to unload stuff. So I think we'd have to go back and then do a public consultation regarding that. I think we're within our right to do it, and that's probably what we should do. Once again, I think, do you want to speak, Councillor White? Sorry.
I just wanted to talk about, we're talking about the parking situation, why people are parking in the middle, and a lot of it, the reason is there's no parking. We have a lot of business owners and workers that park there, and they park there all day. So, can we maybe look at signage for a 2-hour limit parking? Unfortunately, the problem with this is there is no policing of this.
Yeah.
So they're just going to park there regardless, and we're still going to see this problem. It's going to be an ongoing issue for us with this loading zone and stuff. Great points made by everyone, but I think if we can put a time limit of parking, put it 2 hours there, it might ease and reduce people just parking randomly in the middle because they feel entitled to.
So I think once again, it's the suggestion to take it to the traffic forum is the right place to do it, because they have the RTA there, we have the police there, and they can make the correct suggestion to us. So I don't agree with 3. I'll be honest. I don't think we should. You're saying undertake the works. We don't actually know what works we're actually undertaking. Same thing. I don't think it's the council's that forum's to investigate the designation installation. That's probably not their role. However, I would suggest maybe it would be something like refer the matter to the Main Street central parking and possible loading zone to the local traffic committee. So they could then make for them to review and make a recommendation to council. So that forum can then say to recommend to us, for instance, if it takes a line in the middle, that means that the police can then enforce it because it's now a no parking zone, those sorts of things. And go back to them and say make a recommendation to council of their suggestions, and then council can then bring it back and we can make that decision on that matter.
Make an amendment.
If that's what I would suggest.
Yes, beautiful.
I would put
To you, Mr Mayor, I'll move.
And recommendation to
Out of
council.
committee of the whole.
and probably put in there, Elena. Yep, that's it. Straightforward. I don't have to move it. We can make that. Councillor make.
We'll have to move out the community.
Yeah. So everyone, any more discussions on the matter before we move out, councillors? No? We have a mover and a second that we move out of the committee of the whole. Moved by Councillor Macon, second by Councillor Montgomery. All those in favour? Aye. We're now back in. We're now back in ordinary council meeting. Councillor Macon, you have a motion. Would you like to continue with that motion, or would you like to make a change to that motion?
To go with the amendment.
You'd like to move an amendment? You would like to move an amendment?
The amendment. Yep.
Yes. That the matter be referred to the matter of Main Street central parking in the loading zone to the traffic committees for review and recommendation to council. We're moving that amendment.
Yes.
And who was seconder was Councillor. Was it Councillor? Was it Councillor White? Yes, Councillor White. You were the second. Do you agree with that amendment?
Yes.
Yeah. So that motion's now becomes the amendment. Sorry, the amendment now becomes the motion. All those in favour of that particular motion, councillors?
Aye.
Thank you. All those against? Thank you, councillors. Good discussion and hopefully a good result. Next, we move on to... Yes, General Manager's report. I'll ask now the Acting General Manager, Mr Sheen, to present the council notes on upgrading and updates on the outstanding actions and items resolution register September 11th, 2025. A move and a seconder. Councillor Montgomery moved and seconded by Councillor Macon. Thank you. I'll now ask the Acting General Manager to present that.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, as councillors are aware, each month we just bring back the outstanding action items that are on the resolution register. So each action item just gives councillors and the public an update on where those are up to. Some of those ones from last month that we've managed to go through this month and actually finalise those and take those off the register. So those ones that still have actions to be undertaken will remain on that register until they're completed. Any questions?
I'd probably ask the question. We're still awaiting on the tip situation. We're still awaiting the geotechnical testing of the encapsulation of the site.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So I've got a phone call to contact one of the contractors, consultants actually today, which I haven't got back to. But yeah, they're in the background doing sort of some of that work. We're just waiting on that report to come back through so that we can refer that off to the EPA, and hopefully if we can get their tick of approval, then we can start that work. And obviously noting now that we're starting to build up that waste reserve, we've actually got some funds there now that we can actually spend on those facilities, and it's hoped that obviously with a lot of the work in the background that we can actually have a more financially viable solution for both of those sites, and hopefully fit that within our current reserves.
Any more questions on any of those, councillors? No. Yeah, we've got a move and a second. All those in favour of adopting that report?
Aye.
Thank you. All those against? So moved. Thank you, councillors. Next, we move on to 11.1, the Corporate Services Report, Statement of Bank Balances and Banking Facilities. I recommend that council notes information contained in the Statement of Bank Balances and Banking Facilities Report. A move and a seconder, please, councillors. Moved by Councillor White and seconded by Councillor Montgomery. Thank you. I'll now ask our Director of Corporate Services, Ms Brock, to present this to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, our cash balance as at the 31st of August was $13 million. We've been able to retain $9.5 million on term deposit earning interest. We have externally restricted funds out of that $13 million of nearly $7 million relating to particularly unexpended grants that is predominantly expected to be spent over the next 12 to 18 months. And our leave liabilities and borrowing repayments, leaving $4.2 million of non-externally restricted cash. We also are utilising some of that funding to put aside money in internal allocations for future asset purchases. We have some prepayments there and the rehabilitation of the Galvin's pit. So after those internal allocations, we do have $2.8 million in cash. I would like to note that that balance includes $2.6 million that has been received of the FY26 financial assistance grant, which was the prepayment in June and the first instalment in August. So we've now received over 65% of that grant in the first 2 months, by the end of the first 2 months of the financial year. So while that seems healthy, there is a long way to go in the end of the financial year. Thank you.
Any questions, councillors? No. Put that one to the vote. All those in favour accept that report. Aye. Thank you. All those against, so moved. Thank you, councillors. Move on to 11.2. Once again, the Director of Corporate Services, the recommendation is that Council notes information in the report, providing an update on our rates and charge collection for the month of August 2025. Do I have a mover of the motion? Yep, moved by Councillor Roll, seconded by Councillor Montgomery. Thank you. And Director of Corporate Services to speak on this one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. 31st of August saw the first instalment of our levied rates for this financial year due, and we also had some rates paid in full by the 31st of August. So we've collected $1.7 million in cash, which is $500,000 higher than this time last year. Our total amounts of rates levied for the FY26 period is 4.9. With the arrears from last year, we have 5.5 million outstanding. Less the cash received means that our balance now is 3.897 million. You will note that the arrears percentage is 10.86%, which looks very healthy. This is because we've only reached our first instalment payment. So as the future instalments are due each quarter, that will increase if there continues to be unpaid instalments. We're aware that this number is getting higher, and we have some significant arrears brought over from previous financial years. So the finance team will be putting specific resources onto talking to the community and working with them to resolve the outstanding arrears once we have the financial statements completed for FY25. Thank you.
Obviously, as you see, the interest payment we're making, we're receiving, makes a big difference. We had that money in the bank. the money, the interest we'd be making, we'd be able to use for other things within the community. So it's prudent we work on those outstanding debts.
Yes, it's a lot of money that's not in our bank account.
Any questions of the Director? No? That one? No. I'll put that one to the vote then. All those in favour of adopting that report? Thank you, councillors. Thank you. All those against? Thank you. Next we move on to 11.3, the business continuity plan. That council endorses the business continuity plan as attached. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Gorman and Councillor Rolls, thank you very much. It's the Director to present this, the business continuity plan we haven't had. And we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. So we have now a business continuity plan that I'm seeking Council's endorsement on. It's part of the ongoing development of our risk management framework as we continue to develop a robust risk management framework for the Council. So it was part of the 2023 financial audit process that it was identified that we didn't have a formal business continuity plan. So we've now done an exercise in early 2024. We've engaged a consultant who worked with that and has worked with us in doing the business continuity plan. The Audit Risk and Improvement Committee was presented with the draft report that was put together from Marsh Consulting earlier in the year, who had some feedback that we've gone back to the consultants and updated the plan. At the last August meeting of ARIC, the final draft was put to them with no further notes. So we've now gone out and done staff consultation on who are nominees in the business continuity plan, to make sure they're aware of their roles and responsibilities should there be a significant disruption event that would occur that would involve enacting the business continuity plan. Once this has been endorsed by council, we'll do further information sessions with staff, and there will be another new exercise tested through our consulting company to see our improvements from when we did it in 2024. Thank you.
So with those roles, how does that get attached to that role so that they know in the future, if for instance somebody changes, that position changes, how do they know that they then become the next, is it something you just do through HR, you just attach it to that particular role? Or?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it'll be part of their induction.
Part of their induction?
Yes. So it's an important plan that people are aware that they're part of it. It'll be part of a handover of any changes in roles. The other thing that will occur, if we have, so separate to this, there'll be an information sheet on who the contacts are. So if we have somebody named in that report in a position that's not filled at the moment, there'll be a backup to that person. That'll be in a separate report, a separate document that will be managed by HR. That's not part of the plan, but we'll make sure that we've always got those first nominees and backup nominees.
And then obviously you do hard copies and put them around in different places like
all of that will,
depot and things like that.
Correct, all of that will occur, yes.
Yeah. It's a very specific thing, isn't it? That you have to have this whole plan just in case, for instance, the building gets burnt down. I know it's more encompassing than that, but it's very specific.
Through you, Mr Mayor, it also identifies in the report multiple places around Grenfell that we can move to if there's
swimming pool, and the other one was the hub. And
correct.
So, very good. Well, thank you. I'm glad we finally got it done. It's something we've never had in the past, and that we have. It's been picked up in our audit process, but I'm glad that you're in the role and got it completed. Thank you. Any comments on the business continuity plan, councillors?
How did we ever operate without it? I mean, it's
lucky we haven't burnt down, I suppose.
it's common sense put in the
document.
Words. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, we've been asked to present it from the auditors, and now we have one. So
yeah.
And through you, Mr Mayor, the other thing is obviously in an emergency, common sense gets thrown out the window sometimes. So it's just having that pre-thought to say, well, yes, this is the process to go through. We've thought about some of those common issues that we might get stuck into, because simple as how do we pay people, how do we take payments, those types of things. So that forethought has already been done. So people in that mad panic when something major happens can go to that document and the procedures and pretty much get back up and running as quickly as we can to obviously serve the community. We don't want to be down for too longer than what we need to.
any other questions, councillors? All right, I'll put that one to the vote. The council endorses that business continuity plan is attached. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Director, for all that work. Next we move on.
199.
199. Next one, 199, adoption of the social media policy for councillors. The recommendation is that council notes the information contained in the report And 2, adopts the social media policies for councillors. We have a move and a second to councillors. Moved by Councillor Rolls, second by Councillor Macon. Thank you. I shall ask the Director of Corporate Services to speak to this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. This is the social media policy for councillors that was originally adopted on the 17th of November 2022 after a model social media policy was developed by the Office of Local Government. The review date was August 2025 and a draft policy was tabled to Council in July with a recommendation that it be put on public notice, which has occurred. The social media policy presents our opportunity for a guideline on how councillors behave and are protected to have uniform information and understand the risks in using social media as a councillor. It ensures that we're addressing changes in technologies and how we deal with those changes as a council and as a council. We had one submission to the public exhibition and that has been attached to this report. So the recommendation is that the policy and public submissions presented to council for their consideration.
Councillors, any questions or comments regarding this?
Yes, I've got some comments.
Yep.
This is fine for the perfect world, but Minister Honig's having a problem with the code of conduct industry, and this type of thing feeds straight into it, where opinions are argued over, and then things get used as weapons to intimidate and bully, and this goes on. I mean, it doesn't serve much. It doesn't serve the purposes it was intended for, and I just don't believe it. That it's worth having. It's not mandatory. OLG says it's not mandatory, so I'd oppose it. I mean, Councillor Macon might be able to explain how it doesn't work. He tried it on.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments, councillors?
No?
So,
I
through
don't-
you,
I don't
Mayor, I'm not going to comment on Councillor Nivens' comment because it's a waste of time. But every business, large business, this is a current practice. It protects individuals within the business so they are held accountable for when and if something happens by them or to them as well. It's a two-way street. So whether you TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, the multitude of social media platforms now, YouTube, even our own council website, Facebook page, YouTube page, is prone to these issues. It is to protect the interests of council, protect the interests of councillors, whether we like it or not, whatever organisation you work for, whatever you put out into the world on social media, you are the face of that place, whether you agree to it or not. What you are perceived through that, it can be misconstrued really, really quickly, or whatever is said by any individual in the public, tone, message, meaning, everything can be taken at its face value or be taken even further. So I'm in full agreement with this policy for that fact of, yes, we live in a day and age of social media is a major platform. We use our Facebook page as a council every day almost, I'd probably imagine, with a post, public consultation, DAs, traffic notices, whatever have you. Hence why we have the comments turned off, and most big organisations do, because it protects the interests of the council in that way. So that's my
thoughts. Thank you. Any other thoughts, councillors, before we move this to the... No? Okay then. No other comments? Go back. So we have a mover and a second. The council notes information in the report and adopts the social media policy from council. We've got a mover and a second. Put that to the vote. All those in favour, councillors, please raise your hand. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. All those against?
Yes.
Thank you. 2 against.
Could I have my name recorded against?
Certainly can, councillor. So that motion is carried. Thank you.
He spoke against it. No. Please just tell us what's wrong with it.
You've got it against? Yes, against councillor Living. Thank you. Next we move on to... What is it? 225. Yep, community support applications. So this one we have a community support application for the Grenfell Hospital Auxiliary. This is 11.5. The council recommendation is that council notes the information in the report and approves a $300 donation to the Grenfell Hospital Auxiliary for the community support application from the community support applications budget. Do I have a mover and a second, the councillors? Yes?
I'll move.
Thank you. Councillor Niven to move that one, and Councillor Gorman, thank you. Ask the Director of Corporate Services again, Ms Brock, to speak for this recommendation, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you, Mr Mayor, we've received a community support application from the Grenfell Hospital Auxiliary, that is difficult to say, for support from the council for their Next Street raffle, which is being held on the 26th of September. They've requested that council provide the first funding for the first prize in that raffle. It would be funded by council prize, and it would be with a shop local theme. They have requested $100 or amount suggested by Weddin Shire Council. I am recommending $300 donation to Grenfell Hospital Auxiliary for them to purchase local gift vouchers for the first prize raffle to be sponsored by Weddin Shire Council, that they can utilise to purchase vouchers from local businesses in the Shire, and it will be a condition of the donation that it is used for that purpose and reported back to council. The remaining budget, if this $300 is approved by council for donation community support applications for the rest of the financial year, will be $8,137. Thank you.
Councillors, any comments?
Through you, Mr Mayor,
Councillor
just
Magan?
in the recommendation there, is there a way that we can put in that they have to report back, or you just put that in the communication itself?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I would put it in the letter as part of the requirements for the donation.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's already in there.
Yeah, so have to quit it anyway, so
Oh.
Yeah, oh, beautiful, okay, perfect.
through the normal process.
Yep. Awesome.
No, I think it's well worth that. They do an incredible job. The money they raise and it all goes towards helping the hospital, and they purchase different items and things for the hospital. So these are the ones that sell all the Lamingtons too. An awful lot of Lamingtons. So no other questions, comments, councillors? No. With that one, Councillor Gorman, yes.
Through the Mayor, I consider they should be commended for making it a shop local incentive instead of just, say, a money prize or something like that. So, well done.
Right. We'll put that one to the vote then. All those in favour of those recommendations, the council notes the report.
Aye.
$300 donation. Thank you. All those against? Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the next, which is another community support application. This one is from the Coast and Community Services Limited. The recommendation is the council notes the information in the report and approves a $960 donation to Coast and Country Community Services. I'll ask the Director again to speak on this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor.
Oh, sorry, I've got to get a mover and second first. Have a mover, yes, mover by Councillor Macon, second by Councillor Montgomery. Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we've received a community support application from Coast and Country Community Services, who have launched a monthly Weddin Wanderings newsletter. The newsletter came about through discussions with the community on events that were on, and a lot of events that were occurring that a lot of the community weren't aware of. And as a process of community participation and reducing isolation. So they've published their first newsletter in August and have had very good feedback from that newsletter. They are conducting a 12-month trial on this newsletter and currently are seeking support from local businesses to sponsor the newsletter each month, which is currently a two-page double-sided newsletter. Because of the response that they've had, they're asking council to support to increase that newsletter from 2 double-sided pages to 3 double-sided pages, which would add a monthly printing cost of $80 per edition. So they're requesting support for that $80 per month over the next 12 months at a cost of $960. This would include a proudly supported by Weddin Shire council message in each edition and an opportunity for special events and notices to be included in the newsletter. They'll also have that, as well as distributing that amongst local businesses and producing 500 copies. They also have a Facebook page where the newsletter is being distributed. If this is supported, the community support applications funds would be $7,177 remaining for the financial year.
Councillors, any questions on this one? No? Councillor Bowman, thank you.
Another commendable opportunity, and why not? A lot of people come to town and they don't know what's going on. I certainly don't know a lot of what's going on in town, and I think having an avenue or even a website to go to every now and again is wonderful. And maybe they could make a point of putting, their 3 double-paged monthly newsletter on, say, a notice board. And I mean, IGA have one down there, that's probably the most public one. Do we have one in the hub?
Well, they have the screen up in the hub,
Okay.
which reveals what's on in Green.
Yep. And then people would hopefully support a lot more of what goes on in town.
Through you,
well
Mr.
done.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would assume that out of the 500 printed copies, they would be strategically placed around town for people to actually pick up.
Yeah, they're on the counter out here and they're down at the hub as well. And different places.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, 23 businesses throughout the town and villages are receiving those newsletters.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good thing to support in some ways. I was a bit dubious thinking that we were supporting advertisements for businesses, but obviously we found out now that the businesses do help pay for some of their costs as well. So, and I mean, council has an economic development responsibility as well for the community. So, supporting business is something we do. I think it's, and if council were to do it ourselves, it would cost a lot more than $960 if council were to do it. And I think it's something missing in the community. And I think there's a real opportunity to expand on this. I know that through some of the health ones we do, that some of those committees will say people don't know when we're open, and people don't know what's on, whether when they can come up to those different things. So I think it's a great opportunity to put it all together. As you said, Councillor Gorman said, if we can put it on websites and things like that and sort of cover as many things, it's worth a trial for 12 months anyway and see how it ends up. But Councillor Gorman?
I think it would be particularly useful if they had a section whereby organisations could publish or notify the public when their meetings were going to be held. Sometimes meetings are just for committees, but other times meetings are open to the public, and I think that would be very valuable.
They have that.
Yeah.
They do already.
Something there as well.
Well done. Well done.
Councillors, I'll put that one to the vote. I think we had a good discussion on it. No one's talked about it. So all those in favour of the recommendations, councillors? Yeah. Anyone against?
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Evans against? So moved though.
Not important, but I'm against.
Thank you. We move on to 243. Yep, 243. 11.7. This is a presentation of the draft 2024-2025 annual financial statements. There's a few recommendations here, Council. I'll have to read them out. One, that Council notes the information in the report. Two, notes the statement in accordance with Section 413 2C of the Local Government Act 1993, Clause 215 of the Local Government General Regulations 2021 for the general purpose financial statements of the year ending 30th of June 2025. Notes that the statement in requirements of the Code of Accounting Practice in relation to the special purpose financial statements for the year ending 30th of June 2025. Note the statements are to be signed by the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Acting General Manager and the responsible accounting officer. 5. Provide approval for the draft general purpose financial statements and special purpose financial statements to be referred for audit. 6. Endorse that all the statements present fairly the operating results and the financial position for the year, and Council is not aware of any matters that would render the statements false or misleading in any way. 7. Note that the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee at a special meeting on the 16th of September 2025 reviewed the working draft annual financial statements. And 8. Notes the work papers have already been submitted to Crow for presentation of the audit on site from Monday the 15th of September 2025. And 9. Note that following the audit, the audited draft financial statements will be placed on public exhibition for a period of 7 days for the purpose of inviting submissions from the community. Thank you. We have a moved by Councillor Montgomery, seconded by Councillor Gorman. Thank you. Once again, now I'll ask our Director of Corporate Services to present our draft financial statements 2024-25.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The draft financial statements are attached and have been presented as was read out to the audit, provided to the auditors for us to be able to prepare for the audit, which commenced this week, and meet our requirements for reporting the financial statements by the end of October. One of the items that's still on the being matter to be that I want to advise the council of is the red fleet, recognising the red fleet on our balance sheet. So this was raised at the last ARIC committee with the partner. We acknowledge that there has been movement in that, but it will not come off our management letter until it has been legislated that the changes. The workshop has occurred and there was a comprehensive review of the financial statements. A summary of the financial statements, draft financial statements for FY 2024-2025. We had an operating profit prior to depreciation of just under $4.2 million, with a depreciation adjustment that turned into an operating deficit of $2 million. Our rates and annual charges, $4.6 million, and as you've heard me reporting in the rates report, the cash report, we've earned over $500,000 for FY 25 in interest, which was 85% higher than the previous financial year. Our user fees and charges are high due to RMCC works that were contracted in FY 25, which was predominantly natural disaster works, which was $7.5 million worth of work compared to 4.8 in the previous year, so a significant amount of work done in the last financial year. The operating grant revenue is lower due to previous year's funding that's been received in 23 and 24, for example, for natural disaster repairs that was expended in FY 25. The capital grant revenue is higher due to the completion of capital projects for Main Street and Greenthorpe to Karawatha Road. Employee expenses have increased, which is a result of increases in awards, statutory award rates, an annual award bonus that was introduced in FY 2025, which was the first payment in July 2024, an increase in our workers' compensation insurance, which pleased to report has dropped again in this current financial year, and predominantly the other major expense was an increase in overtime, which is part of the RMCC works that was being completed and the additional revenue that was earned. This is also reflected in the materials and services of $16 million, which shows those capital grants being expended. Depreciation increased again as a result of those completed projects that I mentioned previously. The statement of financial position, so our cash and investments were $5 million lower than they were at 30 June 2024. This is again a reflection of the expenditure of the grant income that was, and the operating grant income that was previously used, that was received, that was used throughout the year. The external restrictions notes on C13, providing a lot of information on that. We currently have $6.137 million in external restrictions and $6.4 million in internal allocations, which leaves unrestricted cash at 30 June of $650,000. So as I was saying earlier in the cash report, even though we have a healthy cash balance, there is a lot of allocated funds to be used. The other thing to note in the special financial statements is the ongoing loss of the new sewage treatment plant. Whilst the loss in FY 2025 of 89 million?
89,000.
Sorry? 89,000, sorry. I was going to can't be million. 89,000 was significantly less than the 600,000 the previous year. So there's been a lot of work done by that team in reducing our costs and being as efficient as possible. But that will continue to operate at a loss moving forward, and will continue to eat into our sewer restricted sewer funds to fund that operating loss of the new plant. As mentioned, the financial statements were presented to ARIC on the 16th of September, and they have recommended to present them to council with no notes. And the final thing is that once we've received the final audited statements, that the annual financial statements will be put on public exhibition for 7 days. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for all your work and the staff's work on presenting those and getting the budget all completed and audited and out there. So thank you very much. It's a lot of work. We know it is. So.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's always a team effort. It's getting it done, and it's been a great effort.
And once again, I said, as you brought up about the sewer, it is something the council has to address. We're actually losing. It's costing us money to maintain that sewer, but also what a great effort to bring it down from 619,000 to 89,000. So that's the great effort to reduce those running costs for that amount. Obviously, it won't probably stay like I said. It probably won't stay that way. These things go up and down as different things happen, and you have changes or something breaks down. But it's a big decrease in that cost. So, and we're always we're losing money out of that sewer fund, and we have to spend that on other things like relining sewers and other works. So, yeah, Councillor Rolls.
So you, Mr. Mayor, just on that sewer fund, is that something that could potentially be funded from a sewer levy increase? Or
Yes.
If we looked at that in the future?
Something I think councils had to be aware of that and had to see what our ongoing costs were going to be before making a decision to change any of those things. So we had to have a few more years, if you know what I mean, of knowing what it was, what the actual costs were going to be, because we also had we had additional staff while the plant was beginning to operate and not getting used to it. So there's an additional cost and things like that. So
through you, Mr. Mayor, so we've sort of been able to ration sort of the staff down there, but we also are looking in the background around sort of continual cost savings. So chemical and energy costs is one big item. So there is a little bit of work that we're doing with the JO around the potential for like a battery, so that we can sort of make use of that during obviously night time. So it runs 24/7. So we've got the solar on there, which has made a difference to our power bills down there, but it only obviously can work half the day. So battery technology, it wasn't viable, or cost viable a few years ago when we've done the solar project, but yeah, we're looking at grants with the JO around that. And obviously also the JO is looking at bulk procurement for chemicals and those types of things, and whether we can be part of that process. They're looking at swimming pools, but we're sort of trying to piggyback off the back of that to see if we can do that with the STP with chemicals as well, just to try and reduce costs.
thank you. Any more questions of those budget things?
Through Through you, Mr. I just want to say thank you to the Luca Group on Monday for our workshop. They went through a really thorough understanding of the ins and outs of it, which I'm sure the councillors that were here would appreciate. So we actually, when we are asked questions, and I'm sure we will be in the public, we can actually go to them and say, hey, this is what this means. It was really good workshop.
I think one of the things I always get out of the budget is having a real good look at it is it just shows up just how really reliant we are upon grants. And it's just, you know, you look at those figures and it really slaps you in the face, sorry, but how much we are reliant upon them. You know, so, you know, a slight change in that makes a big difference on how much money we've got to actually spend in the community.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, if you look at rates and charges, $4.6 million, that wouldn't even cover anything within our council. That's just off rates. So.
Okay, well, very good. So we've got, I've read out all the, back to the top. I've read those recommendations. We've got to move in a second. I'll put those recommendations as a block. All those in favour of those recommendations, councillors?
Aye.
Thank you. All those against, thank you, councillors. And once again, thank you to the Director. And now we move on to... Next one, 325. Yep, there. 325. We have another community support application from the Grenfell Junior Rugby League group. We have council notes information in this report, and secondly, the council approves the donation of the Grenfell to the Grenfell Junior Rugby League on the provision that the event, as stated, is held. We have a move and a seconder. Yep, Councillor Niven and Councillor Gorman. Thank you very much. So, Director, to speak on this community support application.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we've had a community support application from the Grenfell Junior Rugby League, who are promoting a movie night at Lawson Oval on Saturday the 27th of September, creating an outdoor experience for the Grenfell community. They've requested a Sydney company to come and provide the movie night at a cost of $4,000, and they're looking for community contribution from support from local businesses to support that happening on the 27th of September. They are expecting to have canteen sales during that night, which will provide some support to the Grenfell Junior Rugby League Club. So they have requested council contribution in addition to local business support of up to $1,000. As they are a not-for-profit junior sporting organisation, they provided with free use of the Lawson Oval during the football season for this event, which does not incur any costs, and council continues to have costs to manage the overall maintenance of the oval. So a recommendation is that we provide a $500 donation towards this event on the subject to the event being held, and that would be also followed up in the acquittal of the donation. After completing this, if the council endorses it passes this $500, there would be $6,677 left in donations for the rest of the financial year. Thank you.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions, councillors? Comments? It's fairly straightforward. In that case, I'll put that one to the vote. All those in favour that council notes information in the report and approves the donation of $500 to the Grenfell Junior Rugby League, please
Aye.
raise your hand. You always against? Thank you, councillors. On to infrastructure services report. You'll notice our acting director is not here at the moment, so I think the acting general manager providing this report. The council receives and notes information in the infrastructure works report as of August 2025 and the planned works for September 2025. Move to seconder. Councillor Rolls, thank you, and Councillor Montgomery, thank you. I'll ask the acting general manager to present this report to us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just rolling through that. So obviously natural disaster work. Staff have been busy continuing on with that. So within the report it outlines obviously those projects that have been completed to date and also those ones that are ongoing. So So, as I said before, staff and contractors have been busy actively going through there to try and complete those as quickly as we can. In terms of major works, probably a couple of items of note, which is Nowlands Road. So council has voted on, I think that was last month, just the extension of that for an extra kilometre. So that has commenced. It's underway and expected to be completed by the end of this month, hopefully. So that'll be subject to weather and those types of things. Armagong Road culvert is completed. We're just waiting on the grant to be acquitted. The shared path at Caracable, so stage 1 is generally complete, stage 2 have commenced, so I've seen the contractors out there yesterday, I think I was out that way, they're doing that. Bogalong Dam is probably another one, so safety and stability report was done, so that's, we're just waiting, we'll have a Bogalong Dam committee meeting where that will be presented, and then from that the committee will report back, or there'll be a report brought back to council as to how we move forward with Bogalong Dam. The rest of the report outlines just the business as usual items that we do each month in relation to the general parks and gardens biosecurity type operations. Any questions?
Any comments? I went for a good drive after the mini tornado we had and had a look at Greenthorpe, at Crackle, and same come around all those back roads, and Nowlan Road's looking pretty good actually, so it was well worth they've done some good work to extend that distance. It was getting done, so it's very trafficable. It was a good drive actually, so very, very good. Any other things, comments? No? Okay. I'll put that, we report the recommendation that the works report for infrastructure of August 2025 and the plan works for September 2025. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. All those against, council? So moved. Next we'll move on to 13, the environmental services report, the development applications, construction certificates and compliant development certificates, determined during the month of August 2025. We have a mover. Yep, moved by Councillor White, thank you. Councillor Gore, second by Councillor Gorman. Right. Yep. And once again, I'll get the Acting General Manager to present this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, so just the, there was no DAs during the month of August, but we had 6 complying development certificates issued during that month, and 2 construction certificates, which are outlined in that report. So, bit of an uptake in terms of complying development during the month.
Good. Questions? No. Very good. I'll put that one to the vote then. All those in favour of the recommendation, councillors? Aye. Thank you. Anyone against? No. Thank you very much. I'll take my leave for 13.2. I'll ask the Deputy Mayor to take the role while I step out for this one. Thank you. So.
I know there's one over there, but I will lose my, I've been told I've got to move. Is that right?
Yeah. You'll have to come over.
Mine's open, mate. If you like.
Yep. This is a development application 21/2025 for an artisan food and drink industry and distillery at 13 to 15 Main Street, Grenfell. The plans and supporting documentation have all been attached. The application is reported to council as it involves an additional liquor licence within the main street. And, yeah, wait a minute. Oh, yes. Okay, so we have a recommendation that the council notes that the reason for the decision is that the proposal largely complies with section 4.15 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act of 1979. The second point is that development application number 22/2025, being for an artisan food and drink industry with distillery on lot C, DP 964369 and lot B 964370 at 13 to 15 Main Street, Grenfell, be approved subject to the recommended conditions listed in Appendix A of the assessment report. Part 3, the Acting General Manager registers this planning decision in line with Section 37(5)A of the Local Government Act of 1993, including the names of the councillors who supported the decision and the names of any councillors who opposed and are taken to have opposed the decision. So basically, this is an application by Natasha and Paul Best, which they're proposing to put together in their business down the main street. And is there any discussion? Oh,
Move in a second first.
can I have a mover, please? Simon, Jan, Montgomery, Councillor Rolls and Councillor Montgomery. And now, any discussion?
Through the chair, I can probably give it a bit of an outline of the application. So yes, so they propose an artesian food and drink industry or premises with a distillery within the building. So the application was lodged by Natasha Best, who was a part owner of the property, with Mr. Paul Best. So it largely involves internal alterations to the building, but it also includes some external changes to the building in terms of some painting and some signage as well. The property is located within the E1 local centre zone under our Weddin local environmental plan, so the proposed use is permissible. It is located within a heritage conservation area, so there was consultation with our then heritage advisor prior to the application being lodged, and some of those comments have been taken into consideration as part of the preparation of the plans. The application was notified and advertised. There was no submissions received in relation to it. We also sent a consultation letter to the local police as well, because it obviously involves another liquor licence. So there was no comments received from the police either. So a full assessment, so that the application was supported by plans and documentation that allow for a full and proper assessment of the application under the Environmental Planning Assessment Act, and that's included in the report. As a result of that assessment, there's a recommendation that the application be approved subject to conditions. So they include a whole conditions relating to trade waste, food preparation and hours of operation. Just one thing to note, councillors, I did pick up just this afternoon, there's just a slight mistake in terms of the condition which relates to the hours of operation. It's supposed to say 9 a.m. to 11 p.m, not 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So just to make that note. So obviously the business in the SEE, they're actually saying that the distillery will be open from 9 a.m. For a certain period, so it won't actually be, more than likely won't be the tasting area and that open for that full period. That includes the distillery area and then the tasting area opening later on during the day. But yeah, just to make that note, it's PM, 11 p.m, not 11 a.m. So yeah, so there's a recommendation there that it be approved subject to conditions.
Any discussion on the matter?
For you, Madam Deputy, I just think it's good to see existing businesses diversified and still wanting to continue investing in our town, investing in the local economy and helping ensure that Grenfell has a fairly positive future, both economically and in terms of the tourism sector. Are you happy to see it?
Yes, I think it'll be a good thing for the town, and also different to what's been offered before within the CBD area, and probably that will attract a lot of interest, particularly from all the tourists passing through and who come down to the main street during the day and even at night when they're camping overnight with us. So thank you, Councillor Rolls. Anybody else? Okay, so we're ready to discuss and move this.
And just put it to the vote.
All right, all those in favour of the motion?
Aye.
Anyone against? All right, unanimous, carried. Now I've lost my thing.
That's all you need to do.
All right, okay.
Thank you. That was carried.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors.
Three. Three.
Thank you.
390.
390, yep, 390. Yep, next we move on to delegates' reports. Councillors, this is my delegate report from the Country Mayors Association. We went down to the acting general manager and myself travelled to Sydney to attend the CMA held at Parliament House. Mostly, as you read on this one, it was a lot about crime and crime law and prevention. A lot of the police ministers spoke about that. It certainly made me realise what a wonderful place it is to live in Grenfell. Like when we heard what some of the other communities are going through with youth crime, with this post and boast where they're taking videos of breaking into people's houses and putting on the internet and these sorts of things, and it's pretty awful to have these communities, going through that, and we just really made me appreciate how what a great, wonderful and safe community we are. We don't appear to have any of those issues, and our crime is generally pretty minor. So, any questions or anything, councillors? I think it's pretty straightforward. No, thank you. Then move in a second. It's only a delegates report. No, next we can move on to 14.2, which is delegates report from the Weddin Land Care, which was held on the 23rd of July. Councillor Niven, yes. So, Councillor Niven, you wish to speak to this one at all?
Oh, look, the Weddin Land Care Group are they're really capable, and they have appreciation of environmental things, especially stock routes. Like they've done the wattle tour, which fits in with the tourism and everything else. They're a great lot. And of course, the nursery it's extraordinary what they do, and there's not many people there for what
small group doing a lot of work.
for the amount they achieve. Yeah, massive.
The wattle tour, we went down with the opening of that and wasn't able to go on the bus tour, but it was great. Since we've had a bit of a drive around and look at some of the sites they've talked about, which is really, really good. And that's a great thing. They said for tourism, and there was even a lady there said sometimes this is international, these sort of things. That, people travel to look at those sort of, she was talking about France, wasn't she? John, do you remember? I think she was talking about going to France. They have a tour of wattles over there and stuff like that. So this is the first one in Australia, so I think it's something we could be proud of, and they should be very, very proud of all the work they did towards it. So definitely. Any questions? Nothing else, councillors, in that report? No.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just note that they mentioned the Indian minor bird, which we can all attest to that.
Few of them around there.
It's just interesting to see that they're going to look to undertake or explore the possibility of a trapping
Mm.
project. Would be something that I'd be in support of. And I hope council will be in support of as well.
Mm. True. Yep. They devastate the local populations of birds, don't they? Yep, we move on to 14.3 then, which is another, we have the delegates report for the Rural Fire Services. Councillor Gorman, do you wish to speak to this one?
Yes, though most of the information is there
Yep.
to be available for whoever's interested. It was a pre-season briefing held at Dubbo. Everybody was there in terms of all the services that are connected to the RFS, and that included even their aviation quarter, National Parks and Wildlife, Fire and Rescue New South Wales. It was very interesting to hear from their operational platforms and all the technology that they have available to them. It was interesting that every plane and helicopter is equipped with a drone, which they release in flight, and the drone seems to simultaneously connect to the satellite, so they have instant mapping of where they are and where the spot fires are and how they can manage to control them. The area that's covered through, we're in the Western Area Command, which is quite big, very big. I think it was about 46% of New South Wales. And it was just, I was in awe of some of the information in terms of what they said. They have lots of technology, lots of new apps. There were some apps that they recommend that we and the community perhaps access, including, I've got to find where it is now, sorry. There's a Fire Mapper app. There's also Hazards Near Me, which they feel is pretty vital, not to mention all the weather updates, etc. They have Starlink in several of their vehicles so that they can communicate with each other in areas where there is, and these are mobile Starlink kits, which just makes everything a lot safer for everybody. The general concerns, they all spoke about the issues they faced, how prepared they were, details of their plant and equipment, some concerns which would involve us as well are things like the stock routes in Western New South Wales don't appear to be mapped. So they have no way of using the satellites to then look at and see what's, monitor the condition and the fire risk that they actually are bringing perhaps to certain areas. So they're hoping that the stock routes will be mapped as quickly as possible. So it's one of their priorities. And in terms of that, they'll be able to have an idea of where there's issues. And one of the reasons why this is more of an issue now, they're more overgrown than they would normally be, is the fact that the rains we've had during the year mean that there's less droving. And so therefore, as a result of that, the growth's got away. Similarly, a lot of state forests, we're not allowed to put stock in there anymore. And as a result of that, the state forests, again, due to the weather and the season, are the fuel grass hazard is much greater, and that increases the risk. So I thought it was very informative, and I was pleased to attend, and I've contacted most of the captains in the villages, etc. And the next meeting, I think, is the 15th of, could be October or November, but I've got it written down at home, and that's going to be held in Dubbo.
Dubbo, yeah.
basically for, you know, the brigades in our shire.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Totally agree. Councillor Nim?
Mr Mayor, I was wondering if there was anybody from local land services or DPI there?
DPI stands for,
Department of
The
Primary.
Department of Primary
Oh, right.
Industry, yeah.
not that I know of.
Well, I'm sorry.
You possibly could reasonably expect that they would be there, but no, it was more a matter of, I think I listed the main ones. National Parks, State Forestry, the Western Area Command, State Operations, Fire and Rescue. SES wasn't there either, which I was a bit surprised about. But they had people speaking about their public information and warnings, the operational platforms, the technology that they use, and then all of the area commanders and superintendents got up and spoke in terms of where each of those areas were at in their preparations for the season. Oh, and we also had a meteorologist report on the weather predictions for the coming season.
Your comments, Councillor, is about who's in charge of the the travelling stock reserves.
Oh, stock rats and the overgrown grass, like, you know, that's what that's concerned about.
Yeah. Same thing, and I agree that the state forest is an issue. They stop the grazing, a lot of them, and the mountains are a perfect example of it. So that's going to be a big issue in the future if all that fuel loads continue to just grow. Very good. Any other questions for the Councillor Dorman? No? I'll put that one that everyone... Oh, we don't need to adopt it, do we? No, we can move on then. Thank you very much, Councillor Dorman, for that. Next, move on to 15.1, Council Committee reports. We have the committee, we have the minutes of the Henry Lawson Festival Arts Committee. Recommendation is that the minutes of the Henry Lawson Festival Arts Committee, which was held on the 13th of August, be noted as presented. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Macon, second by Councillor Rolls. All those in favour? Aye. Thank you. All those against? Is there any comments on that one? Straightforward. Unless anyone had comments, sorry, but I didn't think. That's that one. Thank you. Next we move on to 15.2. Receive and note the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, which is held on the 5th of March 2025 and the 4th of June 2025. We have a move and a second with those ones, councillors. Thank you. Councillor Macon and Councillor Montgomery. Thank you. Is there any questions on those, councillors? Nothing really. We're only noting their report. No. All those in favour, please. Aye. All those against? Thank you very much. 4:30. Thank you very much. Oh yes. Business community plan. Yeah, 4:15. Sorry. Right. Yes, councillors. Next one we're going to move into closed council. The meeting will be closed to the public under Section 10A(2) of the Local Government Act to consider the following items. We're going to discuss 16.1, which is the provision of spray sealing pavement services for our state roads. This matter is considered confidential under Section 10A(2) and D1 and D2 of the Local Government Act 1993. The Council is satisfied that discussions of this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to public interest as it deals with commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial person of the position of the person who supplied it, and the information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a competitor of the council. So we'll be then discussing a tender, which is tender T0625, 225, provision of sealing services for state roads. Next we'll be closing the council to discuss 16.2, which is T05, tender 05-2025, for the provision of the parts services stabilisation of the state roads as well. This matter is considered to be confidential under Section 10A(2), D1 and D2 of the Local Government Act again, and Council is satisfied that discussion of this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest as it deals with commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it and the information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on the competitive counsel. We're also going to be discussing 16.3, which is entering into contracts for the asset management of sewer pipes. This matter is considered to be confidential under section 10A2, D1 and D2 of the Local Government Act. The Council is satisfied the discussion of this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest, as it deals with commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it, and information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a competitor of the council. So they're the three things we'll be discussing in the closed council or tenders. I'll ask a mover to second to go to closed council. Moved by Councillor Montgomery, thank you, and second by Councillor Rolls. All those in favour of moving to closed council? Aye. Thank you, councillors. All those against? Thank you. Yeah, very good. Thank you, councillors. We're back in open council now. Obviously, the recommendations were from the closed council. The resolution was moved by Councillor Gorman and seconded by Councillor Niven that council receives and notes information and report regarding the provision of spray sealing pavement services for the state roads and delegates the general manager to accept the following 5 submitted tenders from Downer EDI Works Pty Ltd, from Fernworks Pty Ltd, from Fulton Hogan Industries Pty Ltd, from Stabilised Pavements of Australia Pty Ltd, and from the State Asphalt Services Pty Ltd. To all three, we also delegate the general manager into a contract with the contractors listed as above to form a panel contract for the provision of sealing services for state roads for the 12-month period from the 19th of October 2025 to the 19th of October 2026. And we delegate that the general manager can extend the panel contract prior to its expiration in the event that a further panel has not been established prior to the expiration date in accordance with the tender's provisions and if mutually agreed with the contractors. That motion was carried unanimously. We then moved on to 16.2, which was moved by Councillor Macon and seconded by Councillor Rolls, that council receives and notes information in the report regarding the provision of part service stabilisation for the state roads. It delegates the general manager to accept the following 5 submitted tenders from Accurate Asphalts and Road Repairs Pty Ltd, from Fernworks Pty Ltd, from Fulton Hogan Industries Pty Ltd, and from Roadwork Servicing Pty Ltd, and from Stabilised Pavements of Australia Pty Ltd. And we delegate the general manager to enter into a contract with the contractors listed as above to form a panel contract for the provision of part service stabilisation for the state roads for the 12-month period from the 19th September 2025 to the 19th of September 2026. And the council delegates the general manager can extend the panel contract prior to its expiration in the event that a further panel has not been established prior to the expiration date in accordance with the tender provisions and in mutual agreement with the contractor. That was also carried unanimously. Next, council moved on to 16.3, which was entering in a contract for the asset management of council sewer pipes. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Montgomery, that council notes information in the report, accepts and signs a contract with Interflow Pty Ltd for the asset management of sewer pipes and advises the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation of its decision. It's also carried unanimously. Very good. Thank you very much, councillors. That concludes our meeting for the evening. Thanks to everyone for coming. And thank you for the staff, and once again, thank you for the budget work that was done. We have a move and a second to close the meeting. Thank you, Councillor Montgomery, and seconded by Councillor Rolls. All those in favour of closing the meeting? All those against? Thank you, councillors. Thank you very much. Thank you.